When the council last met, and this item has had a storied history in front of this body, but when we last met, we had a couple of questions. There were a number of folks who wanted to redesign the road and keep a traffic signal there. And as I think folks know, many of the residents on Islington Road, Kingswood Road, Ash Street in the area would like to keep the light as well. And we were seeking a way to try and keep that. Didn't have that option before us. And when it came to choosing between option 2, which eliminated work on the area so that we could keep a traffic signal, or option 3, which redesigned the whole roadway, removed the traffic signal, but reconstructed the intersection to facilitate a future installation of a signal, the council was deadlocked, 12 to 12, and we didn't have any approval. And so the two questions we had, one that Madam President has referred to is, are we legally able to reconstruct the road and keep a traffic signal? But the second question that we as a council had was, what is the impact of us having not approved anything for that intersection in terms of the whole project? Because I think we all agree that both the bridge replacement and the carriageway redesign are terrific projects that we all want to move forward. And so before we left that item, we wanted to make sure that our work didn't impact the entire carriageway. One memo came to us today with MassDOT believing that they are legally precluded from redesigning the intersection and maintaining a traffic signal there. The second answer was that if we don't approve something for that intersection, there is no approval. So option 2 was essentially the way to approve the rest of the carriageway without impacting that intersection. Option 3 is the way to approve the whole carriageway and redesign that intersection and remove a traffic signal. Either option 2 or option 3 would have to pass in order for the carriageway project to proceed, is my understanding. Let me also say that I am glad that we had delayed sort of up until this point because we were able to get those answers. As folks saw in my memo, the other thing that happened was that our fantastic state senator, Cindy Cream, was able to put some language into the state budget, which from a state perspective required MassDOT to do the work and to install a traffic signal there, or to maintain a traffic signal there. That language appeared in the Senate version of the budget, but the state budget, of course, is not finalized and won't be finalized until later this month, presumably before the beginning of the next fiscal year on July 1st. So big thanks to Senator Cream for that effort. I think she undertook that effort when she learned about the situation that the City Council was in and the unfortunate choices that we had before us, as well as our inability to come to a decision. Since that language was put into the budget, the city has looked at it, the city's legal department has looked at it, and MassDOT has looked at it. And I will say that there still seems to be some confusion, at least in my mind, about the impact of that and what it would do and what it would enable MassDOT to do. So, impacting this as well from the legal department's perspective is the fact that this is a federally funded project and the state may or may not be able to get around the what's called the MUTCD requirements, which originate with the federal government but are adopted by the state. I'm prepared to make a motion which I believe addresses this, and what my motion would say is essentially that we approve the intersection, the redesigned intersection, with a traffic signal. However, if MassDOT determines that they are legally unable to do that, then we approve option 2. In other words, MassDOT has their approval tonight. They can proceed forward with the operation, with bidding the project, do whatever they need to do. If the language survives in the state budget and MassDOT believes that it would be effective in allowing them to do that, they can proceed down that route. If the language survives in the state budget and MassDOT still feels that whatever is in the state budget doesn't allow them to do that, they have an out. They can say, no, we've determined that this doesn't allow us to proceed down that route, and we go with option 2. And if the language doesn't survive in the state budget, then it would seem to be moot, and MassDOT would have to do what they would have to do. So again, this is my way of concluding the item tonight, putting it in the books, but we as a council make the statement that we would like to redesign the intersection, we would like to keep the light if it is legally permissible to do so. So my language, let me read it for those who aren't reading it, is that the City Council approves option 3 with an updated traffic signal installed. Provided, however, that if MassDOT determines that MassDOT is legally precluded from updating the intersection of Commonwealth Avenue and Ash Street and maintaining a traffic signal, then, in that instance, the City Council approves option 2.
I am in favor of the first part of the motion and would support keeping option 3+ alive. The problem I'm having is that I'm not in support of the second half of the motion. So to that end, if it's in order, I would move to amend the language that says option 2 at the end of Councilor Krintzman's motion and substitute option 3.
What I take from that last vote is that the votes for option 2 are not in the City Council. Perhaps the vote for option 3 are. I maintain that if the state has the opportunity to do the reconstruction and keep a light, that's our best case scenario. I think that the amendment before us preserves, to whatever extent possible, that option, gives us approval as a fallback so that the project can go forward from today moving onward. And so for those reasons, I'm going to support this motion. I thank my colleagues for their indulgence, for the opportunity to go over these matters, and I hope that this wonderful project moves forward.